Hey everybody, it's Brian. Tuning in to do some programming today. I got inspired by an idea from a student who said, "Hey, if you like Rocket League so much, why don't you try to make your own Rocket League?" So obviously, I kind of laughed it off at first, but I thought maybe it'd be fun for some of you guys out there who are kind of know how to program in JavaScript and kind of been playing around with it. Let's get started on it today, just for fun to see how hard it's going to be. So let's try to do this live. So if you don't know what Rocket League is, let's go to let's see, do I have an example? Yeah, I have this one. So Rocket League is a game where you are a car, you're zipping around on the field and you're hitting a soccer ball, playing against other cars, trying to score. Okay, so obviously we're not going to do a 3D game. I'm not interested in doing that right now. So top-down 2D game. So let's see, for those of you who haven't really used P5.js before, I'm going to kind of zip through in real time, kind of probably make a lot of mistakes on the way. Uh, just kind of go through booting up a project like this and how I would go about it, because a lot of people in my class are kind of wondering how do how do you start a project like this. So this is for all of you guys who are wondering, and maybe anybody who's kind of getting started with P5.js. So let me preface all of this stuff by saying that I am not an expert coder, so I don't need anybody to bash me in the comments section. But as long as we're all just having fun here, then let's just go ahead and do this. What we're going to need first is kind of a bare bones HTML just to kind of like for the page to load. And we're just going to go ahead and load up our scripts in here and everything. So really there is no substance to the HTML. It's all taken care of by the P5. So let's go ahead and just kind of do some bare bones here. We're going to be putting our scripts up here. But first, let's go ahead and make a new file. I'm using brackets, by the way. A lot of people don't really like brackets, and I can see why, but that's what I got going right now. So let's save this as the app.js. So in the app.js, by the way, .js is going to let your computer know to, or let brackets know, and let everything else know this is a JavaScript file, so we can use some autocomplete. So we're going to make the app run in here, and we're also going to need, why not, a car. Let's just try to get a car moving around on the screen today. So let's make a new folder, and let's call this one car.js. All right, so let's see how clean we can do this the first time. Oh, you know what else we're going to need is we're going to need the P5 library. So what I recommend you do first, if you don't have the P5 library on your computer, is to go here. If you just go to P5.js downloads, go in here, and all I've ever needed, because I'm kind of a puny coder, is the min. All right, so I'm sure maybe someday I'll get to needing the whole library, but I just download this min, and it's a tiny little file, just a text file really. And you can just paste that into whatever folder. I'm gonna maybe borrow, let's see, I think I actually have it on my, do I have it? Let's see, maybe, do I have it in here? Oops, didn't mean to do that, my bad. Don't save. I didn't even mean to do this. What is this? I don't want that. What's this? Okay, I do want that. Let me see if I can find my P5 library. Here's a copy of it. So I'm just going to, I know there's probably way better ways to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and just paste it in here. So now I have P5 min, the library that we're going to be using in my active folder here. Okay? So just copy that wherever you download it to, and I just put it in my folder so I have, it's all in parallel with the rest of these folders. All right, so what's next? Okay, so let's go ahead and reference our scripts then. All right, maybe we can, okay, these are active files, so I'm going to open that too. Actually, oof, okay. Did not mean to do that. Is that going to hang it up? Yeah, it is. So I accidentally just double clicked this P5 min to try to get it up here in the working files, and it actually, you can see what that code looks like, right? It's pretty beastly. In fact, it's so beastly that brackets has a hard time processing it. So let's just go ahead and close that. In our HTML document, let's go ahead and reference these scripts. So we're going to say script, and the source of the script, we're just going to need all of these. So we're going to need the app referenced. So this is letting our HTML document that's going to get loaded, what kind of scripts it needs to run. Okay, so let's say script, oops, my bad. Let's also load up the car. Yep, that's the one. And, not the app. Okay. we'll need, and then we need the P5 script, okay? So script src equals P5 min. Okay, so now that, so we're going to be using a lot of functions in our program here that are going to draw from here. So we need the page needs to be able to reference that. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm going to do this. Okay, there's going to be a variable called car. So I'm just kind of doing this live. I could screw up a lot. I probably will. So I don't expect it to work the first time. So forgive me if you see a mistake. Try not to scream it through the screen at me. We're going to need a car. And so part of the P5 framework is that there's a setup function that gets called kind of automatically. And there's also a draw function. And the draw is what gets called iteratively or all the time or kind of over and over again, once per frame, I guess, right? So let's run the setup and let's make car is going to be equal to a new car. Now, have I made this function yet? No. Okay, but I'm going to make a constructor eventually. That's going to take care of that. So what's a car? Okay, so every time, let's see. Sorry if you guys can hear my cat back there. See, she'll probably just won't stop yelling. Let's see here. Okay, so car. What is a car? Let's start building out the car. Okay, so I'm gonna say this. This is how you make a constructor function. Function capital C car. Let me know. So everything's gonna kind of live in here. So I'm gonna define what a car is. I guess it has an X position. Let's for now just put it in the middle of the screen, so half the width. By the way, the width is kind of something that it's gonna, when you talk about width, it's the width of the drawing surface that you're going to be drawing on. This dot y is going to be the height divided by 2, so we're just placing this car in the middle. Alright, so I'm just going to try to get a car to show up on the screen first thing, and then I'm going to load the page and see how it goes. So I also need a function that kind of like takes care of the car. So I can make a car now, but it's not going to show up because I don't have like instructions for the page to draw the car. So let's go in here. Let's go. Actually, you know what we need to do? Setup first. We need to create a canvas to draw on. So create canvas is a function that you can use, and it's going to take a width and height. Let's just make it like a square box for now. 400 by 400. Okay, so basically as the setup, we're going to create a canvas and we're going to instantiate a car and assign it to that variable car. Okay, so as part of the draw, what I like to do here is I set a background color, and it takes like an RGB trio, or you can just do a simply, so let's make the background, I don't know, blue. So RG and B, so like pretty blue. Let's try to do like, I don't know, 255, so super duper blue. At this point, I probably should check to see if this is going to make a background, right? Let's try that. Let's see if we can even get a background. Okay, where I'm quite sure I have errors. I always do. What's this doing? We don't need Rocket League gameplay. Hey, yay! I've got a canvas. Okay, cool. So at this point, I'm going to try to make the car show up. So as part of the draw function that gets called every frame right here, I'm going to ask the car to show. So car.show. Hey cat. Sorry if you guys can hear that. Okay, car.show. Okay, so .show is not a function that exists yet, but let's go ahead and write it as if it does exist. And now let's go and define it. Okay, so what is, and I'm gonna have to say this .show. I've noticed that I can't just make a function called show in here because that kind of, in the way it thinks of it, I believe, is that it's kind of not, it's a function for all cars. It's like a static function if you kind of think of it that way. So this .show, you can refer to it from outside this class in the form of car.show, which is what the variable name is here. So this .show is going to be a function, which is basically going to, let's set a fill color. What color should the car be? How about red? So 25500. It's going to be super like contrasty. And then let's make a rectangle. And the rectangle will occur at this .x, this .y. This is the position of the rectangle. And then let's make a size. So I'm going to make it facing like the side, not like straight up. I'm going to make it facing right. So the height will be 20 and the width will be, is that right? No. Yeah, the height is 20. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, sometimes I trip out about it. When I'm trying to imagine like the car moving around and zooming around. yeah, I lose track of what's the width and what's the height, right? Because it's going to be rotating around on the screen. I'm just going to leave it like that for now and see what happens. All right, so do I have a car? Or do I have an error? What am I going to get? I have nothing. Okay, so what you do here, okay, this is normal for me. I screw up all the time. So I'm going to inspect, and when I go to inspect, I look at the console, and this will tell me, okay, there's this fave icon thing. I don't really care about that. That's not an error with my code. It's just I haven't like set a little image. You see that little square? If you ever see that, it just means that you didn't like load an image to go there. So my car's not showing up. Why? Let's see. Fill rect. Okay, blah blah blah. You know what? I didn't save the app function. That's why. Okay, so if I saved it just now, and if I reload, do I have a problem? Do I still have issues? There it is. There's my car. All right. Well, I didn't mean for it to be facing that way, but that's probably, remember I said I was kind of tripping out about that. So let's leave it like that for now and just see what we can do. Okay. All right. So we have a car. Yay. Let's try to make the car move. Okay, so I'm going to make a function here. Before I show the car, I want to try to move it. So I'm going to invent a function right now called check moves. Okay, so check moves, I'll need to define it. I'm going to call it function check moves. Here we go. What does it mean to check a move? Okay, so there's some kind of stuff in here that's probably really good to know about for the P5 library. You're going to see some stuff right now. Like I'm going to do if key is down. It's a really crucial function that you need to know. If a certain key is down, and the parameter that goes in here is like the JavaScript key code for the key. So what you can do is I'd recommend going to, let's see, JavaScript key code, JS key code. That's all I'm going to search for. And look, I've been here before. And you just touch keys on your keyboard, it'll tell you the value. Okay, so like, I guess I want W to go forward. Okay, so W is 87. So if 87 is pressed, so do you see it? If key down 87, I'm going to make up a function. Okay, my function is going to be car.goForward. Okay, I have not made that function. I'm going to need to make that in a second. And I'm going to use an else if here to go backwards because you shouldn't be able to go backwards and forwards at the same time. So to save a little bit of processing time, I'm going to use an else if. But I do want to be able to go forward and turn at the same time, so I'm not going to connect all of that in an else if. So to go backwards, let's say that's going to be 83 if I go check that. All right. So car.go backwards. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of code written here. So likely I'm going to make an error in the next couple steps, but that's okay. So I need to go invent car go forward and car go backwards. Okay, so when you're telling a specific car to do it, I recommend writing the function like this dot go forward. Instead of just writing it as, you know, let's see, I'm going to finish this line and then I'll let you know what I mean. Function, then we got to define what happens in here. So there's kind of two ways you define a function. One, you just say function check moves, blah, 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 right? And then in car, you notice I'm doing this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot, which is kind of what you use when you're using this whole function as like an object, and you want all of the objects to behave differently. Use this dot and then define it as a result of a function. Okay, so that's kind of like a tripping point for a lot of people as they get started. So what does it mean to go forward? We want to. Ooh, this is crazy. Okay, it's gonna. So I just realized how complex this is going to be. So normally with this, right, like with a pong game, you're just going to change the y. Like for example, like this dot y, how about plus equals 5, okay? So the y value will change. Right now, this is wrong, and I bet a lot of you guys can see why. Because when I turn the car, going forward might mean like not changing my y value of the car at all. It might change only the x. It depends on where I'm turned, right? So this is going to be ridiculously crazy, but I love it. It's going to be super mathy. Let's see how far we can get tonight. So let's just see if we can just get the car to move up. We're going to change this code definitely, but okay. So by the way, so when you're going up, so the y. Let's go look at that again. I always make this mistake every time. I swear. Okay. So the y's are actually increasing from here to 0 and it's going up. So when I said to add to the y direction, it did, which is this way. So I got my directions backwards. So I want to do minus equals 5. But then again, you guys, we're not going to keep this code. I'm just going to try to flesh this out and just get stuff kind of responding to me. And then I'm going to figure out all the math, which is going to be nuts. And it might be even too long for this video, but I'm going to give it a try to see how, because, you know, indeed I am a math teacher as well. So I better be able to figure that out. See if I can make my money here with my math skills. Okay, so can we go backwards now? Let's try. So can we go forwards? And we can go backwards. Yay, okay, we got Rocket League, and this is it. We're moving towards Rocket League. Okay, what's next? Okay, we're going to need to be able to turn. Oh boy. Okay. Okay, so by the way, these have to go because this is just not right. Okay, the car is going to be at an angle. Okay. Oof. Okay, brutal. Let's say this dot angle. Right now the angle will be 0. So there's this function, you guys, in P5 that you can rotate the drawing object. Okay, so if I rotate the drawing object angle, so I want to be able to draw rectangles at different angles. Do you know what I mean? So what's going to happen if I rotate at that? Oh, I need to use this dot. I make that mistake a lot as well because you notice it didn't kind of recognize that this dot angle is important. Okay, if you call it this dot angle up here, you should probably call it that down there. So what's going to happen here? If the angle is 0, is this going to like... Okay, let's just see what happens. Okay. Oh boy, am I going to get anything? Okay, I do, thank goodness. Since this is a live preview, I'm going to change the angle to like 10 and see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to go back to my thing. Holy smokes, it's gone. Okay. What about 1? Oops. Okay, so it's just not there. Interesting. Let's see, can I rotate? Okay, how about this? I'm going to let it be 0. Does that even work? A lot of live troubleshooting here. Okay, so it's there if it's 0, 1. Okay, oh my goodness. I think I might understand what's going on. Okay, so this is the origin. If I rotate 1, I bet what it did. Can you picture like a circle swinging from, so picture it anchored here and then like a string tied to where my rectangle is being drawn. And when I rotate 1, I bet it thought of that in radians and then like zoomed it around way over here and the car was drawn like off the map. So like the drawing object like rotated like this way, not like rotated on the spot where it was. It rotated there. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Okay, I got an idea. So what we're going to do instead of the drawing object being anchored here, I'm going to move the drawing object to the car. I'm going to move the drawing object to the car and then draw it on the spot. Okay, so let's see if we can do that. So forget about rotating. Okay, so what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to to move the drawing object, here's what you do. You do translate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it to where the car is. So this dot x, this dot y. And then I'm going to draw the rectangle at 0, 0. Now, by the way, what that means is not 0, 0 on the canvas, but 0, 0 in relation to where the drawing object is. So let's see now. Did I ruin everything? No, it actually is still there. Okay, now what happens if I rotate from here? Like if I do the angle is 1, for example. Look, okay, it's working. Okay, it's working just like I thought. Okay, so it rotated it. Okay, you know what I need to do too? Is I need to change the mode that this thing draws its rectangles in. The rectangles are being drawn kind of from the top left. So I want to change that to the middle. I want it to be drawing from the center of the rectangle. So how about this? I want to do rect mode. Do you guys know about this? If you don't, you can change where the mode of the rectangle is drawn, like this. Okay, this can be useful as well. Okay, so now we're moving here. Let's try this. Okay, all right. So let's go back and add some keys here. Are we still alive here? Are we still going? I know the video is getting kind of long, and this is turning into a really awesome, crazy problem. So let's figure this out. Let's add some turning keys. So let's do, if key is down, I'm going to basically copy this. And I'm just going to change some stuff. I'm going to copy this. Okay, control copy, control paste. Okay, so if the How about the A and the D key? So 65 and 68 will turn me left and right. So 65 will turn me left. Turn left. This is going to be crazy. And 68. I don't know if you guys are seeing ahead to what I'm seeing, but I think we're going to need some trig here. So I hope you took your trig classes. So turn right. If you don't have trig in your math arsenal, this next part's probably going to be a little bit weird. But for those of you that do, this is going to be a really cool application of it. Okay, so we're going to need to turn left and turn right. Okay, so this dot turn left. I would like to change the degree. So my this dot angle, I want to change it this dot angle minus equals 1. This dot turn right. Oh, you know what? This is bad syntax. Come on, man. Equals function. There you go. I do this a lot. It's kind of my Java stuff kind of creeping in. Okay. And this dot angle plus equals 1. All right, so, okay. Let's see what happens here. Oh boy, it spins really, really fast. Okay, but it's turning. Okay. Do I have to do like? Okay, why is it like? So what's the? It is turning. So that's kind of cool. But it's turning really fast. I think it's doing radians. For those of you who don't know what that is, a radian is like a degree, but a lot bigger. So like 1 radian is a huge chunk of a degree. It's like 35, I don't know, some odd degrees. Okay, so, or like, sorry, like 60 some odd or so, between 50 and 60 degrees. So how am I going to do this? I guess I could like change it by like 0.1. I don't know. This is kind of forcing it, but if I change the angle by 0.1, does that like help it a little bit? Yeah, that's a little bit better actually. Okay, so I got a car that turns but doesn't go forward. So you know what I mean? Like I can't just say this dot y translate up, because if I'm facing like this way, right, then I want to be, it's going to be the x that translates. So we actually need some trigonometry. So I'm just going to play around with it. Let's see. I want to get this going. So I'm going to stop the video after I get it going and turning in the right way. So going forward is going to mean that if it's an angle 0, it's only changing the y value. So I'm going to be saying this dot y minus equals. Remember, minus moves you up. So if I want to go forward, I'm going to assume that the car is facing like at the beginning of he's facing that way. So if he goes forward, he's only, assuming the angle is 0, it only affects the y. So when the angle is 0, so the angle is 0, the cosine is 1, and the sine is 0. So it's actually the y is going to be changed by the cosine amount. So cosine of x, or I'm going to have to use math.cos. So again, if you don't have trig, I'm sorry about this part, but this will work probably for you if you just kind of copy it down. Of this dot angle, and then I actually want to change the x amount by, let's see, if I change the angle positively, I want the x to go positive. Yeah, so this is right, math.sine this dot angle. Okay, I'm going to need some speed adjustments here, but let's just see if we can turn and go forward. Alright, so turning. Okay, going forward. Okay, oh my gosh, it's working. Oh, this is great. Okay, it actually is behaving like a car almost. So we can adjust the speed of this thing a little bit. So let's say this dot speed. As soon as I change the speed, I'm going to call it good on this video, and then I'll let you guys take over from here. This dot speed equals, how about, you can change this later, and then what you do is you multiply this by this dot speed, and that way you can kind of like affect the speed. And you can actually, so can you imagine getting boosts if you play Rocket League? You know, applying the boost will just change your speed or maybe your acceleration. All right, what's going on here? Does that make him a little faster? Yeah, it does. Zoom, zoom. Okay, oh yeah. Rocket League, here we come. Right, so you can see what we're going to need next is like a ball. But that was actually really way crazier than I expected. It's not the same as Pong at all. So it's like way more mathy. You can see that can, detecting the collision of the car and the ball is going to be quite mathy as well. But if you're pretty well versed in your trig and your algebra, it's going to really help a lot in understanding this stuff. Otherwise, I guess you just have to copy. But I guess lesson being, if you want to program video games, you're going to need to get good at math. So if you're like out there right now and you still have time to get good at it, you're still in high school, whatever, or even later, just bone up on your algebra and trig skills because they will come in handy. It also might have taken somebody a long time to figure out how to move this car. But anyway, I hope you guys liked getting started on this thing. Let's pick it up in a future video. I'll go ahead and save this, and we will continue this in the future so we don't make this car not go through the walls and such, and being able to have a couple cars and a ball and make the field a little bit better. It'll be fun. But we got a car moving around. So anyway, talk to you guys soon, and happy coding. Please leave me a comment, message, and thanks for taking the time to watch my video.